On September 17th, 2019, there was a crash in the repo market of the shadow banking system. And then voila, COVID appears in December of 2019. This COVID thing is a little suspicious. The people I know said there's something fishy about it. The vaccines have to make a lot of money. Those vaccines can kill you. The problem isn't the pandemic. The problem is our economic system. That Wall Street, the shadow banking system, the Treasury, and the Fed have been sucking cash out of pensions. So the old guys like me, we're in trouble. A lot of the pensions are empty.
This time, would it be worse than 2008?
Yes. Today, it's not money, it's information. The gap between rich and poor, as you know, is growing. The real problem is the gap that this coronavirus exposed is massive, massive. I hate to say this, but gold, silver, and Bitcoin are investments of disaster. You know, if everything was perfect, you don't need gold, silver, and Bitcoin. So I've been collecting silver since I was in 1964, when I found out that silver tinge upon my little dimes and nickels and then dimes and quarters. And I started buying gold in 1972. And so this COVID thing is a little suspicious. You know, last night on Tucker Carlson, a female virologist came on and she had to escape from Wuhan. She says it's manufactured. My doctor says the same thing. So there's things about it that don't make sense. I'm not a doctor of virologist, but the people I know said there's something fishy about it. That was in 1986, 1987, when all contingent liabilities for vaccine was removed. So they don't have to test them. Those vaccines can kill you, and the big pharma will never be sued, never. So it's big business, and that's what I suspect it could be also. The gap between rich and poor, as you know, is growing. And then when that PPP and all of the social programs giving people money, people are now would rather stay at home and get paid. I mean, who wouldn't? You know, I've always been critical of education. There's no financial education in schools. And we want to teach people who want to be capitalists about money.
The economy keeps going up and up and up. The minimum wages remain the same. So, you know, how can we expect people to pay for rents for their cars?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but that CDC, they just said it's okay not to pay your rent. Now, when the hell? I own 7,000 apartments. When does some medical association tell my tenants not to pay me? You know, I'm going, give me a break. This is called fascism. Marxists believe that the capitalists don't contribute to anything. You know, I'm an investor. I have a lot of companies. And the people that work for me also think I don't do anything. But I provided the capital, we provide the structure, we take the risk, we do all that. But there's this guy, Richard Wolff. He's a Harvard, MIT, and Stanford guy. He's the most popular Marxist we have on YouTube today. And he's the guy that's saying that capitalists add nothing to a business and it should all go to labor. So if there's $1 million profit, then the labor should take the money, not the shareholders and not the capitalists. So that's Marxism versus capitalism. I'm pretty hardcore capitalist. And there's a time and place for socialism. Do you know what I mean? There's people who really do need help, that people should be helped. But not to sit at home and get a paycheck. But what happened when COVID came in, let's say January 2020, my favorite gun store had lines in front of it. But when George Floyd was killed, the lines tripled. So it's more this race and Black Lives Matter issue and the rioting in Portland and Seattle and California and Chicago and New York and Phoenix that it's got gun ownership up. And I just don't understand that. You know, I mean, why are they attacking us? Why are we attacking us?
We look at the US economy and there's such a disconnect there.
Right.
So it's what's the reality and what's the illusion?
Well, you know, that old saying is don't fight the Fed. And there is some truth to that. If you had followed that advice in 71, you did okay because the Fed always bailed you out. But that's what I was talking about September 17th, 2019, that fire in the repo market. You know, they couldn't, and the Fed jumped in and the Treasury jumped in to save the repo market. That's socialism, that's communism, that's central controlled government. So now the economy is controlled by the Fed and the US Treasury. free market is gone. And what happened is separated the price of a stock from the fundamentals of a stock. And so, as you know, many of the CEOs were just borrowing money off their corporations. So the CEOs were complicit in borrowing from their corporate treasury, repurchasing their stocks, which sent the price of the stock up, and then the CEOs parachuted out under capital gains taxes, not ordinary income taxes. So this whole thing has been one, as the Marines would say, a gaggle F. It's just really a mess. And again, it goes back to September 17, 2019, when the Fed and the Treasury entered the repo market. We became a centrally controlled economy. That's communism. So it looks like Buffett is saying the banks aren't going to make it, because what happens every single time is when the Fed and the Treasury take over, they don't need commercial banks. They want to go straight from the Treasury to the people, which is PPP, Universal Basic Income, UBI, and MMT. So the Fed is now becoming the banker for the people also. That's centrally controlled economy. Well, look at the numbers. In July, the deficit was 86 billion. In 2008, the deficit for the Fed was, I think, 800 billion or something like that. And now in 1 month, the US runs a deficit of 86 billion. The numbers are so staggering that, and we're insolvent. The US is insolvent. So that's why I tweeted, I said, when the vaccine appears and happy days are here again, the real problem has always been the economy. It's been the central bank, the repo market, Wall Street, and US Treasury. When you look at zero interest rate policy, which we're going to, that's saying we don't want your cash, we don't want your savings. They're forcing mom and pop into the equities market or the bond market or the real estate market. Look, we live in the information age, and you want to have the best information possible. With zero interest rates, you have got to be better informed. So that's why it's the information age, and we're going to make money trading on information. Today, it's not money, it's information. And if you're going to survive into the future, if you're just going to buy, hold, and pray in your 401k, you're toast. You're toast. Because there's no correlation right now between the price of a stock and the underlying fundamentals. And the reason I said gold, silver, and Bitcoin will crash when the vaccine will come out, I tweeted it's a good thing, because it's a buying opportunity, because the problem wasn't the pandemic anyway. The pandemic has always been the underlying repo market, shadow banking system, the Fed, the Treasury, and all those characters. So information is the key for the future, and that's why you've got to be up to date on it every minute, because zero interest rates are saying we don't want your money. That's what it means.